When you're starting a nonprofit, do you need insurance? The short answer is yes. But what kind of insurance do you need if you're starting out as a nonprofit and as you grow as a nonprofit? That is what I'm going to cover in this video. And by the way, this video topic was requested/suggested by one of my subscribers, A Mom's Life. So thank you so much for that suggestion. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Amber Melanie Smith. I'm a nonprofit founder and executive director, and I make these videos here on YouTube all about starting a nonprofit, creating a social impact through other types of organizations and activities also. So I hope that you find this video helpful and useful as you are on your own social impact journey. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I also have a website called foundertofulltime.com for those of you who are in the process of or desiring to start a nonprofit. I've got some online trainings you can check out there. So I hope that you, like I said, find this video useful, and let's get into it. Okay, so I know that insurance is probably not one of those things you even want to have to think about when you're in the process of starting or growing a nonprofit organization. I know that I personally would much rather be spending my time and energy and attention on other things like fundraising or our programs or reaching new people, etc. However, nonprofits face a great deal of risk in a lot of the things that they do, and especially true when your organization is, working in specific issue areas might cover even more risk. So it's really important to have the right infrastructure and a strong infrastructure, strong protections in place to protect your organization from some of the things that could happen in the big world out there. I do not mean to sound like a salesperson. I am not an insurance salesperson, but I can say that the thought of something bad happening to the organization that I worked so hard to build up and grow and make an impact through gives me nightmares. So I would much rather personally have some coverage in place to protect us if something goes wrong. So first, I'm going to go through some of the types of insurance that you might need or expect to get as a nonprofit, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about the costs you can expect to incur for these types of insurance and where to find these types of insurance. You might be surprised how many types of insurance exist for nonprofits and you might need for your nonprofit. I've broken these insurance types into two sections. The first is types of insurance that you would need for your organization in general, and the second is types of insurance that you might need or want for the employees of your organization. So let's do part one first, which is types of insurance for the organization overall. So the first type of insurance I'll talk about is liability insurance, and this is just general liability insurance that would cover your organization against claims of negligent conduct by the nonprofit, its employees, board members, volunteers, or other agents. Now, each insurance package is going to be a little bit different, but in general, this would cover your organization against cases of things like accidental injury to someone or accidental property damage during one of your nonprofit's activities or accidental copyright infringement, etc. The second type of insurance that is important to know about is called directors and officers insurance. This is a specific type of insurance meant to cover your board members or those who are considered officers of your organization, which could include your executive director, from having to accept some personal liability if something goes wrong with the organization. Now, in the United States, many laws protect an organization and its people from this liability already, but there's always some rare cases where that might not be true. So it's important to have this extra layer of protection. And I even know of some people who refuse to sit on any nonprofit board at all unless the organization has this type of insurance coverage. So it really will make your board members feel safe in their role. The third type of insurance is called volunteer accident insurance. This is designed, if your organization works with a lot of volunteers or works with volunteers regularly, this is designed to help cover medical expenses or costs associated with a volunteer incurring an injury while serving with your organization. It's kind of like workers' comp, except that's for paid employees and this is for volunteers. Next is property insurance. Now, this obviously is only applicable if your organization owns significant property. In this case, I'm talking about like a building. If you own or rent a building, you might need to have this property insurance. And finally, in some of the most common types, you might have a business auto insurance. And of course, this relates to if your organization owns vehicles, perhaps a truck to deliver food or goods, or a van, or normal size vehicles for other purposes. If your organization owns it, you're going to need the insurance for those vehicles too. All right, now let's get into the next part 2, in which I'm going to talk a little bit more about a couple of common types of insurance specific to the employees of your organization. The first is workers' compensation. This is, of course, to cover your employees of the organization in the event of injury on the job. And it's important to note that in many cases, workers' compensation is something that's going to be required by the laws of your region. The second type is employee health insurance. So just like a private or for-profit company, nonprofits can, and in my opinion should, offer health insurance benefits to their paid staff. This is a great benefit that you can offer whether you decide as an organization that you can afford to only cover a part of it or all of it or whatever works for you. Helping in any way I know is a great benefit to attract and retain employees. And the third type is disability insurance, and that could be short-term or long-term disability insurance. This is to help cover a portion of an employee's income in the event that illness or injury causes them to not be able to do their work for some designated period of time. This is one of those things that, again, is a really great benefit to be able to offer employees, makes them feel safe and protected in their work with the organization, and is something that you can look into as a type of insurance when you have paid employees. Now let's talk about the costs of all this insurance. Now, each one of the ones that I listed could cost your organization anywhere from a couple of $100 to a couple of $1,000 per year. So you definitely want to be budgeting for these insurance types in advance if you can, and making sure that you are raising those funds to cover these important bits of coverage. Now, of course, your specific quote that you'll get from an insurance provider is going to vary based on a couple of different factors, one of which is the size of your organization. And by that, I mean how many employees you have. So obviously, for example, if you're talking about employee health insurance or disability insurance, the price goes up based on the number of employees you have. And the other aspect could be your organization budget size and the complexity of your organization's activities. And then, of course, the particular risks associated with your organization's mission and activities you're undertaking day to day. Obviously, if a nonprofit is participating in activities regularly that are in a physically demanding or environmentally hazardous environment, those are going to include more risks in some aspects of the work. Nonprofits with larger buildings or more vehicles will pay more for those types of insurance, etc. You get the idea. Now let's talk about where to find this insurance. So now that you know the basics of how all this works, and by the way, there are many more types of insurance I didn't cover here, but these are just the most common ones you might find across many nonprofits. So where do you find this type of insurance or these types of insurance? So there are many different types of insurance carriers who might offer these types of insurance. You can do a simple internet search to discover them in your local area. You might also consider going through an entity like a nonprofit insurance broker who may be able to, through the power of collective bargaining or whatever, identify some cost savings for your organization to get all of these types of insurance. An example of one of these might be the Nonprofit Insurance Alliance. All right, so please do share in the comments if you found this type of topic helpful to you as you are doing your great works. I'd love to hear from you. I know, like I said before, personally, insurance is kind of one of those daunting topics I really don't want to have to think about, but I imagine several of you feel the same. So I hope that this demystifies some of that for you. If you have a unique nonprofit mission and you are currently using a rare type of insurance we didn't cover here in this video today, I'd be curious to learn more about that. So leave that in the comments too. As I mentioned before, if you are starting a nonprofit or working on developing, your fundraising initiatives for a growing nonprofit, check out my website, foundertofulltime.com. I do have some trainings and resources on there for you. I do a newsletter about once a month with some additional resources for nonprofit leaders and other types of change makers. You can subscribe to that. There's the link in the description as well. And of course, you can opt out anytime you'd like. Finally, I do have a Facebook group called Change the World or Bust. We've got a couple thousand folks in there from literally all over the world. So it's pretty amazing of people sharing their journeys of trying to make an impact and getting encouragement tips from others. So hope you can join me there too. Once again, I'm Amber Melanie Smith, and I hope that you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like it and subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.